Hello, this is Brenda Green. I'd like to welcome you to our fourth presentation from Living in the Go. The title of this presentation is called Why Are We Afraid of Money? Over the years, I've been helping family and friends with their finances. I like to think of myself as an amateur finance guru. I like helping people get out of the jams of their own making, but sometimes unforeseen circumstances such as medical bills, loss of a job, divorce, you name it, gets in the way. Part of my training comes from 7 years as a credit and collections manager, and the rest from research that I've done over the years and just trial and error. I use myself as a guinea pig all the time. So let's get started. The topics I want to cover today are the first, what do you know about money? What's your level of understanding of it? Second, who taught you about money? Who was your first teacher on the subject? 3, do you know how to pay your bills? And the last one, how to stop being afraid of money. I want to beat that fear right out of you. Now, money knowledge, that can be a tricky thing because we don't learn about it in school, that's for sure. So we feel a little limited. We let our partners handle the money decisions, even if it feels wrong, because they may seem more confident. We buy things without asking questions because we don't want to appear ignorant. If we do invest our money, we pay other people fees to do the simplest of things for us. Sometimes we are a little lazy. If you don't know the interest rates on your credit cards, then that's a little lazy. If you have children, then they are watching your behavior. So if you don't know about money, then they think it's okay for them not to know either. We make all kinds of mistakes because we are afraid to acknowledge that we may be clueless. So let's do something about this situation. I want you to feel empowered to learn about your money and spread the word. So in terms of knowledge, read a book. I know that may be antiquated sometimes because people are so busy using their phones and the computer for everything, but there are thousands of books out there. You could use your library. It's free, and you pay tax dollars to keep it going, so you should utilize it. You could also check out free podcasts about money. They're everywhere. Take the information that works for you out of it, and the rest you can leave behind. But it's free. You can download free apps to track your money. I love mint.com. Everything is displayed on one page, and I use that religiously. You can also look at successful people and do what they do. I don't mean look at the rich folks. You can do that as well. But I mean look at people who seem to have a handle on their lives. If they seem to have the right resources at the right time, if they're living a good and comfortable life, look at those things. Look at those habits they're using and emulate it. You can start a money journal. Write down your goals, your thoughts, and the mistakes that you make so that you can learn from it and grow. And ask lots of questions. I do that all the time because I'm always trying to get more information. Hopefully you've all heard of Warren Buffett. They call him the Oracle of Omaha. Well, he's the head of Berkshire Hathaway. And every year he does a charitable thing where he donates his time so someone could have lunch with him. People pay millions of dollars to come and talk to him over that lunch period. Trust me, they come in with pages of questions for him. So you do the same. Now, what is your money IQ? Very simple. Why don't our schools talk to our children about money? I don't know that. I don't have the answer to that. It should not be a taboo subject. When they get to college, it's sometimes too late because that lack of knowledge makes for developing bad habits. Kids get to college and they get credit cards right away and they run them up because they don't know how to use them properly. They take out expensive student loans that they couldn't possibly pay back. And as parents, we try to help them, so we co-sign on loans to send our kids to college that impact our future retirement plans. It can be a vicious cycle, but it's never too late to have that financial conversation with your kids. And not just with your kids. but anybody who wants to listen. Have the conversations. Think about all the different money mistakes that you've made and share that information. I make mistakes. I've made plenty. I've learned from those, and so I share that with people so they don't make the same mistakes. Think about this too. Did your lack of knowledge hold you back? Were there things that you possibly could have done for your financial future, but because you didn't know exactly what to do, you didn't make a move? You were afraid to take that step? What do you really know about money? Is money working for you, or are you just working for it? I want to take the mystery out of money. Money is not some mysterious secret. It has been around forever. Before there was money, coins, people bartered for services and goods. That was still money. People make a mystery out of it because they don't learn about it. People are always envying the rich and the powerful because they think that is what will make them happy. Well, I'll tell you, there are more people in the 99% than the 1%. And the only difference between us and them is a lack of knowledge. You don't have to be rich, but you can be comfortable. You can have the resources to pay your bills, send your kids to college, have some fun occasionally, and be able to retire. That's not asking too much. Sometimes money can divide us. There are terms that you hear all the time, the haves and the have-nots. Let's get rid of that. Let's just think in terms of us individually, what can we do to help our circumstances? So we should all be talking about money, especially in our homes. What we don't know, let's get that information. Let's gather that knowledge and find out what we can do differently. You should know more about your FICO score, and that's the Fair Isaac Company, which tracks that for the credit bureaus. You should know more about that than a video game. Knowledge is power. Money should not be a taboo subject. Again, I say that. It is not your enemy, but the lack of knowledge is the real enemy. One of the things that I've heard repeatedly from people is that they don't know how to pay their bills correctly. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? When the bill comes in, you just pay it. That's not always the case. I've even heard people say that they've had an overflow because they get paid every 2 weeks, and in this particular month, they got 3 checks, and they thought that was extra money. So not true. It happens more than you think. People have told me they don't have enough income to pay on time. Everything is due at the same time. Whoever calls the most is the one they pay, and so on. So let's talk about some simple rules. First one, make sure you prioritize. There are levels of importance. For example, pay your rent or pay your mortgage and your house note. No car means you can't go to work or even look for work if you're unemployed. And you got to have a roof over your head. Everything else comes second to that. Number 2, pay your student loans before your credit cards. Now, I say that because student loans are forever. They cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. Most of the time, the credit card companies will send you to collections if you don't pay, but they usually don't sue you. And after a few years, sometimes that will even roll off your credit bureau. But those student loans, they can even come after you and get your Social Security, believe it or not, if you don't pay. So something to think about. Number 3, never pay late. If your car note is due on the 30th and you get paid on the 1st and the 15th, pay your car note on the 15th. Late is late, and companies are unforgiving, especially these days. Number 4, know what the interest rates are on all your debt and try to lower it if you can. Combine some bills to get lower rates and call your creditors. You can do this for free. You don't need some magical company to help you do it. Make that phone call. And don't talk to the first person who answers. Always ask for a supervisor. That's a good trick. Number 5, never co-sign for someone unless you are prepared to pay the bill. Because if they don't pay, guess what? It becomes your bill and it becomes part of your rotation, so plan for it. But a better thing to do is to never co-sign. You'd be surprised how powerful you can feel when you get your financial house in order. I don't carry debt any longer, But there was a time when I felt overwhelmed with my credit card debt. I was getting nowhere and felt like such a loser. It seemed like I would never be free. I couldn't sleep from the worry, and I didn't feel any joy, certainly. But I started slowly and did some of the things that I mentioned above. I can still remember calling my first creditor and getting my interest rate lowered. I felt so wonderful, and I slept great that night because I felt like I was finally in control. Now, we can't talk about money without talking about investing. And I know a lot of people are afraid of investing, but investing is part of your money knowledge. People have money because they invest in the stock market. You can save lots of money in a savings account, money market account, or a certificate of deposit, but the interest rates are very low. They could be from 1% to 4%, and that's in a CD. The stock market can average 8% to 12% a year, so you do the math. You can buy stocks and bonds or mutual funds. So if you have a 401k or a 403b at work, I say contribute to it. There's something called compound interest that works in your favor when you contribute. The earlier you start and the longer you stay in it, the more money that you will make. So you definitely want to do that if your company has that program. If you don't have these vehicles at work, then open up a Roth IRA at a brokerage company. And I talked about a Roth in my earlier presentations, but I'll quickly tell you what that is. It's an IRA account, but it's with after-tax dollars. So you can open it up at a brokerage. I like TD Ameritrade because you can open it with as little as $50. But if you put money into that account and you continue to put money in there every year for at least 5 years, at the end of that time, all of that money is yours to take out with no penalty. And the penalty is just the interest. All the interest that you make on your Roth IRA, it's yours, and you've already paid the taxes on it when you put the money in there. So you don't have to pay taxes anymore. So if you grow that Roth IRA to $1 million, guess what? That whole million is yours, and you don't have to pay taxes on it any longer. I love Roth IRAs. Even if you have a 401 at work, you should still have a Roth IRA. You also need to read books, and you can start with some investing books for beginners. There are plenty of them out there to get a little knowledge so you can feel a little bit more comfortable, and start slowly. You can buy stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. If you don't know what those are, I'll quickly explain it to you. A stock, which is also known as a share, is a security against a corporation or a business. You own part of that company when you buy one of their stock. There are two types of stock. There are preferred stock and common stock. Preferred stock are certainly a lot more expensive. For example, if you bought common stock, it might be $100 a share, but if you bought preferred, it might be $10,000. So you get the difference. But you want to buy some stock. The other type of vehicle is a bond, and there are two types. There are municipal bonds, that's based on the city, state types of bonds, and corporate bonds from companies. The interest rates on those are not as high as a stock, but it's a little more steady. They gain slowly, but it's a little more secure. Maybe when you were younger, your grandparents bought you a bond. The face value said $25, but your grandparents bought it for $12.50. And it has a maturity date on it. In 10 years, that bond that they bought for $12.50 will be worth $25. So that's why bonds are a little more steady. And so if you feel uncomfortable, you can start with bonds and work your way up. The last one is a mutual fund. And people love mutual funds because it's a little safer in terms that it's very diverse. In a mutual fund, there are people who manage the fund and they invest in a lot of different areas. For example, Warren Buffett has Berkshire Hathaway, and Berkshire Hathaway invests in Coca-Cola, American Express, Geico Insurance, different railroad companies. He's all over the place in a mutual fund. So if it dips in one area, then it might be better in another area. So that's what a mutual fund does for you. It gives you a little more security, a little more comfort. Now, as always, I have some beliefs. You can listen to these. You can take it with a grain of salt. You can take something from it. That's up to you. but these are beliefs that I want to share with you. So first one, people who don't have money will try to spend your money, so be careful. What I mean by that is that people will always try to tell you what to do with your money. They don't necessarily do the right things with theirs, but they can always tell you what to do with yours. So just be careful in terms of what you share with people, and you make the best decisions for yourself after you've done your homework. Don't share your money goals with everyone. As in life, everyone will not be happy for you. So if you have a big dream for yourself, you know there are people who are naysayers who will come to you and say, oh, I don't think that'll work, because with their own insecurities, they want to knock you down. So just be careful. I mention this all the time, but I'm going to mention it again. Term life insurance is much more affordable than whole life insurance, or whatever fancy name they're giving it. If your insurance agent is coming to you to share you these different products that they have on the market, be leery. All you need is term insurance. It's income replacement for your family. It's not an investment vehicle. Stop leasing cars. You never quit paying, because when the lease is up, you must lease another car or buy that car. So go ahead and save and buy a car. And you don't necessarily have to get a new car. If you get one that's 2 years old, it's already been depreciated, and the car is still in good working order and probably still has its warranties. Do what works for you and your family regarding money. Everybody's household situation is different, so you can't compare yourself with another family. Look at what's happening in your family and make that work for you. A savings account is better than nothing. It gets you in the mood. I'm not trying to be funny, but if you don't have anything, start with a savings account, because emergencies do come up, and it's a wonderful feeling if you have some money in the bank that you can cover that without having to use your credit card. And last but not least, a goal without a plan is just a wish. I strongly believe in writing things down, committing it to paper, looking at it, checking things off, understanding what you need to do with it. So plan. So in summary, I want you to gain as much knowledge about money and finance as you can. Identify when you learned about money and how it helped you or how it hurt you. Prioritize your bills and make sure your home and transportation are paid first. I want you to lean into the discomfort about your fear of money. It's okay to be afraid, but don't let it paralyze you. Take small steps to gain some confidence, and pat yourself on the back when you do something towards that goal. Identify the specific actions or tasks you're going to take to reach the goal. Start investing in the stock market and track your progress. I'd just like to thank you for your time and your attention today. It's much appreciated. Is there anything that I can do to help you? Put a comment down. I'll respond to you as quickly as I can. And if you enjoyed this presentation, please hit the subscribe button and tell all your friends. Thanks.